Yeah, it's terrible. But anyway, so hello everyone. My name is Andreas Diaz. Today, me and my co-host Will are going to do something different today, besides discussing TV and the Marvel movies in general. Today we're going to discuss a character who has his 80th anniversary today. This year. This is Captain America. We're going to discuss pretty much the character as a whole in the Marvel universe, and then pretty much what we like about him as a character. So, Will, how you doing?
Doing pretty well. How about you?
Well, doing good, as I mentioned before.
Yeah.
Allergies are acting up again.
Yeah, it's that time of year. So,
Exactly. So, I guess the first question, Will, how how you got to know Captain America? Like, what was your first exposure of the character?
yeah, I guess probably like watching cartoons as a kid. Um, yeah, I remember as a kid, I was never really like a fan of Captain America because he just seemed very like boring and like just like a piece of propaganda.
Mm, yeah,
And then as I got older and I like learned more about the character, I came to appreciate him more. I mean, he still is propaganda, but he's he's a good guy. I don't know. He embodies like all of the positive virtues of America. So
yeah.
that's
Um,
just like really inspiring to see. Like it's propaganda that works really well,
yeah.
um,
I,
and that
I,
I can get behind.
yeah, Kippa. Yeah, it's interesting. I think he's like the Superman that we need right now, and
Yeah, he's yeah.
and I'll explain what I mean by that. It's like I feel like um he yeah, you're right, Will. When he was created back in World War II, he was that kind of propaganda kind of character.
Propaganda. Yeah, he was created um, as part of the effort to like uh, sway public opinion so that the American public wanted to enter World War II,
Exactly.
which is like a really noble cause. So
Yeah.
um,
And
yeah,
he wasn't the only one. I mean, Superman, Batman, and the majority of like the superheroes during the Golden Age was like that.
yeah, they
So
were all like fighting Nazis and stuff and trying to get people to support the
exactly,
war effort. Yeah,
yeah. And I feel like I want to kind of just mention that like Captain America wasn't really the only character at that time really doing that, and I feel like he stands out the most because of like how he got integrated in the Marvel universe, and he has like the most interesting post comeback from like the Golden Age,
mm-hmm.
from like the other characters like the Flash, Green Lantern, or the ones that didn't continue besides Batman, Wonder Woman, and Superman from
Right.
DC, and um, yeah, it's interesting. My exposure to him was um, in like the Spider-Man '90s show. That was like
Okay.
the first time I saw him,
Yeah.
and they make that kind of story arc about it was Black Cat. Like Black Cat's father stole the formula of the super soldier, and then the Resco wanted it, and so he went away, and then
Okay.
he I think he kept it in his mind, and so and then the version of Black Cat in that show got the super soldier formula because of Wilson Fix. Kingpin used her as the first test in
Mm.
that time, and it was very interesting. Um, and of course, like Resco came back in like the fifth season. Um, he had a son that was like Electro. This was their version of Electro was the son of the Red Skull. It was really funny and
Interesting.
industry.
Yeah.
Um, and of course, he was in like the like television version of Secret Wars in that show as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my first exposure from that character in there. So um, and then of course, when we get into like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, that's where I came to know him. better in
Yeah.
the live action shows. Um, and I guess I guess now we discussed kind of like how we kind of got our exposure. Is he your favorite character in the Marvel universe?
Um, Definitely not in the comics, but
Hmm.
he's a contender for the MCU. I really
Okay,
like Steve Rogers in the movies.
yeah, I agree.
Um, yeah, not that I like dislike him in the comics. I just there are characters that I know that I prefer.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, I prefer more, and then like it depends on the storylines they
mhm,
give him.
right.
That sometimes it's good, and that sometimes it's really bad.
Mhm,
Looking at your Secret Empire. Uh, yeah, I agree. I'm the same here. I like Cap, like he he's like the perfect example of a character I like in a team book
mhm,
instead of a standalone book. You know what I mean? Like like a good example of that. Like I like Superman, but like I don't buy his comic books. I just like him in the Justice League.
mhm,
The writers can do more with him, and then his old books right now. And so I have that same feeling with Captain America, where I like him with the Avengers, but like I don't like him outside of that with his solo books for some reason, you know.
mhm.
So that's my
Yeah,
main problem with the character.
yeah. Why do you think that is? Like, what do you think
Mm.
is more compelling about him in a team setting than like on his own?
I I I think observing like why I think because he, you know I I feel like his return to modern day is instant with the Avengers because he has a lot of conflict, and
Mhm,
then you learn quite a bit of like certain characters that their ancestors that were in World War II. You learn more about that character. Like I think in the episode in Avengers Earth Mightiest Heroes, Nick Fury showed Captain America a bike, and that was his father, and like he was telling him that like he thanked him because he was with his father during World War II, and like
mhm.
that aspect I really like about Captain America when he's with a team or like overall connected with the universe, right?
Yeah.
And um and I don't know, I I, you mentioned like propaganda character, but it's also politically I'm not interested in I'm just not interested with politics and like
Mhm.
you know uh like I it's just I don't want that to seep in my books, and so that's why I don't intend to read his books. And I think that's usually my reason why I don't read his their own books. So where the Avengers is a little more like you can have few politics, but like it's not the forefront of the story, you know.
Yeah, I get that.
So what about you? What's you got other reasons why is um
I don't know. I think he just works better. Like he's a good leader.
mm,
Um, I think he's more compelling when he's like the moral center of a team, and there's like conflict there, rather than
mm,
him like being on his own and being like a like crusader. I don't know. Like it's I like when there's conflict within his team.
you're right, right.
Because I don't know, it makes you think about like America's values and like what could test them. It's interesting, right?
Yeah,
Like Civil War and
yeah,
the conflict between like government oversight and like individual freedoms. It's a really interesting dynamic at play, and he's able to like personify one side of that argument. It's really
yeah, and
interesting.
it's yeah, and it's interesting to see the other person who takes over. Like we need oversight, like particularly Iron Man, where like
Mm-hmm.
it's interesting to see like how he goes against with the other hero who is citing the other argument, and that's also interesting as well.
Yeah.
Um, and then again, like Iron Man is like the like Batman of this universe, and like him and like I mean, when you think about the modern universe, it's like you don't think about Captain America and Iron Man. It's usually Spider Man or the X Men or like the Fantastic Four, right? And like
Right.
and of course this it kind of changed because of the MCU. Um, I feel like it's interesting to see you know um, Iron Man go against Captain America and how he like he isn't with the government, but like he you know he wants to control things that he wants to stop the imminent threat before it happens.
Right.
Where Captain America is more open-minded. It's like, well, we cannot prevent it, but we can stop it before it attacks another like people or like or another threat arose again. Um, and I feel like it's very interesting with Captain America. Um, like he's like another thing I think why he like, especially with the MCU, I like how he's not like the Boy Scout. Like he is a rebellious person. He's
Yeah.
just
That's what I've always liked about Captain America is that he's not just like blindly following orders. He has
yeah,
his set of values and he sticks to those. Um, he's very like consistent, but not he doesn't like just do something because that's like what the country is doing.
yeah,
If he feels that something is wrong, he won't do it. If he feels that something is right, he will do it. Um,
yeah,
there's something really admirable about like having that kind of conviction.
yeah. Yeah, and he wants to do good for his country, and
Right.
I like
Well, yeah, and
um,
not just his country, which is the other thing I like about him is that he's like patriotic without being like nationalistic. Like he's not
no
he's like proud of America, but he's not like
yeah.
America is better than everyone. Yeah.
No, I don't think so. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I think I the other word is like he wants to protect the people. Like he
Right.
wants to protect the small people.
Right.
That's his main goal as Captain America.
Right.
Um, yeah. And he has a little bit like the Christian Bale Batman version, like ideals. Like he wants, like like he has, he's like it's not like America. Like he has a job to help the innocence of the whole world, and like
Mm-hmm.
try to like not like how to say not prevent what happened to him, which he doesn't have a tragic backstory, but like he was trying to prevent like everyone getting hurt.
Right. Yeah. He wants to protect as many people as he can.
Exactly. And um yeah, and it's very interesting. Like he goes against government rules, but then it kind of makes sense because sometimes these authoritarian leaders don't like they're not like pressing on this moment of this threat could be a problem for America soon. So
Mm-hmm.
I like how Captain America, yeah, as you say, well, like he will invade if it's necessary, if he sees it as like it could be a threat. And I like about that character quite a bit. Um, and I guess um, another thing that makes every hero like special is his rogues gallery. And another thing, I guess, I have this problem with the Marvel universe is their villains. I mean,
Yeah. That's fair.
some characters have great villains like Spider-Man and
Spider-Man.
X-Men, right?
Right. End of list.
Yeah, and the list,
Uh,
right? Um, but I think Captain America has a will. Like,
I yeah.
what do you think?
I think Red School is cool, and then I think
Hmm.
Hydra as an organization is fun. Like it's a good way to like. There's something like when you're fighting Nazis, there's no like moral ambiguity. It's just like
Hmm.
Nazis are bad, and there's something fun about having a group that's like just super hateable to have as a villain.
Yes.
And Hydra's a great way to like extend the like Nazi presence into the modern day. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
And also I like how they're like not part of that regime, but like they're like I like how they have a different philosophy about how the world should con- be controlled. And
Mhm.
I also like how Hydra is like a snake theme, like kind of organization, like like Cobra from DC, and which the MCU doesn't do that, unfortunately, which I'm kind of disappointed by that. But also
Mhm.
like, um,
It is weird that they're called Hydra and then their symbol in the MCU, or it's like an octopus.
I,
Like I
I
like because like
yeah,
a Hydra is like a mythical creature that looks kind of like a dragon. They got the
okay,
like you cut off one head, two more take its
take
place
this
thing,
place.
right?
Yeah,
Um, I guess like an octopus, if you cut off a limb, it'll grow back. So I
well,
get what they're going for there, but
yeah,
yeah,
I like that symbol because it's like
but
they're invading everyone, like
yeah, that's true. Yeah,
in
I
plain
feel like
sight.
it's from
Yeah, yeah, because that always like that was the thing about that symbol. I was like, what are they doing? I I mean, it's a cool design, um, especially with the movie The Winter Soldier. Like
mhm,
that symbol makes more sense because they're sneaking into the government and plain sight and and behind the scenes.
right.
Um, another character we should also mention is Symbol. I do like Symbol. He's another third
Zemo's
character.
cool. Yeah,
Yep,
yeah.
and he's also like he sometimes involved in the Hydra thing sometimes, but like it depends on who's writing the comic
Hmm.
books. Um, I like how each his rose gallery are like the symbol of like terrorism or fascism. Like like
Right.
Crossbones is kind of like a neo-Nazi ism or something like that.
Yeah,
Uh,
like a domestic terrorist.
yeah, and then you got like capitalism with Roxxon Energy Corporation.
Yep.
The Flax Masters as a good sample of anti prejudices. Um,
Yeah, like a anarchist
yeah,
villain. Yeah.
yeah, and then AIM is more like a techno fashions like kind of group.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's I like his work really like that. They really symbolizing the threats of America, and I love how like that's something I never noticed when I was making my top 10 list of my favorite Captain America characters. And I noticed there's like a kind of a recurring gimmick with these villains of Captain America. Um, and uh, I guess we mentioned Simo. We think Simo is like I he's a character like what do you think Simo is like? Is he like a opposite of Captain America or like because like like in the MCU he's not connected at all with the Hydra thing
Right.
because
He's specifically against Hydra.
yeah
Um,
I instance how he's like against the like superheroes and like the hands.
yeah, I really like his backstory and his like motivations in the MCU. I think
Mhm.
it's really interesting because he, of all of the villains, he's the one who's like had the best point. I think.
That's true. Yeah.
Like I think like Killmonger it was close, but I think
Mhm.
Zemo uh, gets the edge because he only wants to kill specific people instead of committing war crimes.
Yeah, more crimes. Yeah,
Um,
that's
but
true.
um, yeah,
Um,
but he like I get his point of like if you have a Superman, like a super soldier, then that's just gonna create like a natural dichotomy between like the powerful and the not powerful, um, and that it'll breed a kind of like supremacist ideology.
yeah,
I think that's absolutely correct and absolutely a consequence of having like superpowered people.
in the world.
Yeah, Like
Yeah.
there's always going to be someone who just says that those people are superior, like Magneto or someone
Yes. Yes.
will like pop up and be like, yes, the people that have powers are superior and should be like the dominant group in society.
Yeah. And
And
of
it's
course, and Killmonger is similar to Magneto, like right, like he's too trying to like say that the black people are the superior people in the world as well, but he
not
you know he,
specifically, but yeah,
yeah, it's more different. I'm trying to
yeah.
um like I yeah, I mean, Tim Burton is interesting. When we ever talk about him in a movie or like Black Panther's birthday or whatever, his character is very interesting because he has that vengeance and like he has an idea, but like
Hmm.
he always leans to the revenge side.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like he has a point in that like the things that have happened to him and his the people have been terrible, but if you like just like turn around and do exactly what was done to you, it's not gonna like it's not like a constructive way to solve problems.
no,
um
no. Yeah,
so
and
you like sympathize with him, but it's he like takes it a step too far where it becomes revenge instead of justice.
yeah, that's true. And same thing with Magneto.
Yeah, oh yeah, Magneto. Well,
Yeah,
Magneto is just like a full-on
but
supremacist.
yes, I know that's really hard. Yeah,
Yeah,
and it's very interesting that Simo is like the most like sane person, and like he has like his point is legitimate. That is very true. I never
yeah.
thought. Yeah, and uh I guess it's kind of interesting. Him and Ruskell has like a color like a color face. Like Ruskell has like legitimately a red like skull because of a accent or something, or his
There's
testing
a
of.
side effect of this, at least in the. I just rewatched the first Avenger today,
Oh
the first
really?
Captain America movie. Yeah,
Oh god.
and that yeah, it was a side effect of the serum that he took. I'm not sure what the
Oh,
reason is in the comics.
I it's it's usually that I think I
Okay.
it's been a while because you well yes because the scientist Esther uh, was working before the Americans, the Nazis, and so Resco was always the first test. Um, oh, okay. He's usually disfigured or wearing a Red Skull mask. That's
Okay.
usually in the comics. So the movies is more of like he take the super soldier from. I'm just checking.
So he's just wearing a mask in the comics.
Yeah,
I feel
that's like
like they.
it's like the early days in the comics,
Okay.
and like later on, like in the Silver Age and the Bronze Age, they just say like that's just his face because it's
Okay.
disfigured.
I see.
Yeah,
It was too much of a stretch in the 40s, I
yeah.
guess, for him to just look like that. Okay.
Yes, it's very true. It's just comics in general.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Seymour is also disfigured in the comic books. Um, I don't know you know this, but like Seymour, how you say it? Like when by the way, Seymour is two persons. His like grandfather in the World War II is the main Seymour in World War II, and then there's a later on version of
Handwritten
Seymour.
helmet.
Yes, and and it's interesting because both versions of Seymour's like gets dropped in a like chemicals and like the mask gets stuck into his face, and
Oh,
so
okay.
yeah, and it's interesting in the MCU. Seymour isn't yet that, but like it doesn't make sense with that version of Seymour. So
Right.
I just wanted to tell the difference for that. Um, and I guess like moving forward from the villains, I want to talk about the supporting characters, and I feel like they're like the main characters a lot of people know, and
Hmm.
I feel like they're the best thing about the MCU. You want to start with uh oh, you disagree?
No.
Oh,
It's
oh,
I love Bucky and Falcon in the MCU.
oh,
So
yeah. And Peggy. Let's not forget about her.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's start with Bucky because he's like the first sidekick with he's the partner of Captain America. And he Bucky is I think he's like the one thing people bring up that like okay you should check out Captain America is the Winter Soldier arc, and it's interesting to see Bucky transformation in the comics and the movies as well.
Yeah.
What do you think about Bucky as a whole?
I mean, I think the Winter Soldier arc really did him a lot of favors in like reinventing him and making him interesting. I have a poster of Captain America #1 in my apartment, and there's like little Bucky in the corner,
Oh
and he just
yes.
looks so like dorky.
All right, wait.
And then,
It's more appropriate than Robin. I want to say, all right. Like
is it though? Because like they're off fighting in Germany, and there's just like a 12-year-old kid with him.
Yeah, but I mean, he's wearing protection. He's wearing pants compared to Robin.
He's wearing pants.
I mean,
I don't think that pants aren't gonna do too much to stop a bullet.
I don't know.
Oh.
I mean, um, I don't know. Well, the thing, I have less problematic of that because we, like the soldiers in World War II, were very young.
Yeah, they weren't 12 though.
Oh, hold on. Let me check Bucky. All right, he was no way. Hold on.
I am making up 12, but I'm pretty sure he was like a full child.
Yes.
He was not old enough to be a soldier.
That's true. Well, and then he was in March 1941. Yes, he's like a year after Robin was first appearing in the comics. So no, that makes sense. So he should be around that age. No, you win this war. Well,
No, but how old was he?
Nick.
Like, how old was Bucky?
Yeah, hold on. I feel like because Robin in
16,
16.
according to Google.
Okay, that makes sense because with Dick, with Robin, he is usually around 12 or 14 when he becomes Robin. Whatever Disney says about the timeline. So yeah. Anyway, yes, I agree with you, Will, about the Winter Soldier. I think that really helped Bucky to be more prominent in the comics, and I feel like another thing that works is his visual look. I feel like the Winter Soldier. I actually like the comic book look over the live action one. I like the Dynamo mask and the short hair, and the arm is like another thing that makes him very interesting. With the little star that's like the Russian because it's the Winter Soldier. I don't get why the MCU didn't do that to like adapt that look more, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. They used to have the star, like in the first movie that he was in.
Oh, I don't have a problem with that. It's like, I don't get why he has long hair and like.
Oh, I see.
Like
yeah, I think it was just because, he was frozen.
Oh,
he has short hair now, right? So
yes, he has short hair.
It works out eventually.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know why I can like that. I just feel that was a weird aesthetic. Reason.
It looks cool though. I don't know.
I can say it looks cool in the second film. I just didn't like it in either Infinity War and Endgame.
Okay, yeah, I get that. It did start to look a little.
Like too wetty and like a dog. Honestly.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think it looked good in the second movie because it was paired with like the mask and the heavy eyeshadow.
Yeah, that was good.
But when it just looked like a dude, like it was just a guy with long hair. It looked a little weird.
Yeah, it was weird. And I think thankfully we had to show the Falcon or Captain America and the Winter Soldier because for the longest time I liked him enough, but I feel like the Winter Soldier show did a lot to make me like Sebastian's version of Bucky. I
Hmm.
feel like because he was good in First Avenger. I kind of wish they like spent more time with their relationship
Hmm.
more.
Yeah.
Um, uh, and then also like um, you know, I like First Avenger as an origin story, but I didn't like the third act. That was a little like it was like I didn't like the montages, and I didn't like the contrived way of Captain America getting into the modern day. It was like
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
understand
I
that.
love those montages, but
Yeah,
but
that
yeah, no, I can understand.
yeah,
Like I could have watched an entire movie that was just those montages.
yeah, that's true. I guess my main problem is just like how he got into the ice. It's like
Yeah.
so complicated. I don't know why the writers did that. Um, but yeah, and I guess let's kind of get into the Falcon. He's
Mhm.
another character I really like, and I think he's the best character. Just I think Anthony Mackie did a really good job of just like give him personality and just gravitas and presence throughout this movies, and I feel like he did a good job. Um, and I'm happy he's Captain America. Yeah, so so
Yeah.
that's a good thing. Any thoughts on that character?
Yeah. I mean, I think especially him being Captain America um, is a great way to like modernize it. Like I think he's the perfect person to like pass the mantle to.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Yeah. That's true. And yeah, and Captain America has a lot of replacements. That's another
Yes,
thing.
but
Uh.
yeah,
Uh.
I think
I.
Sam and Bucky are definitely like the best people to replace him.
Yeah.
But
I.
yeah, there are a lot, a
Yeah.
lot of
I.
other Captain Americas.
Yeah. I did want to mention that because in the comics they were like he always quits. That was another thing that I feel like I didn't get into his comics because
Mm.
there was like
I love the like Nomad arc that they did after Nixon
yes, I
and
do agree with that.
Watergate. I like that he like uh, I feel like that was the start of him like realizing that just because he's like a symbol of American values, he doesn't need to like support everything that like the government or government officials do.
Yeah.
He
I
doesn't have to like perfectly reflect the official position of the United States. He can just like embody the ideals and be like something to look up to.
yeah, like a symbol.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a symbol that people can aspire, as Bruce Wayne say. And
Yeah.
I sorry about the Batman references, folks. I think it's
You like
interesting.
Batman, it's fine.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's interesting because Captain America is similar to Batman. He has a sidekick. He has no, I mean, he has he had like a 14, 16-year-old kid as well. Well, a ton actually. I think
Yeah.
Captain America is more responsible, folks. Um, yeah, and it's interesting. Like a lot of people speculate he was become like well, like between Civil War and Infinity War. Like a lot of people speculate he was going to be Nomad.
I think they like unofficially were referring to him as that because like if you look
Yeah,
at all of the costumes that he wore during those movies, the like stars and stripes are like torn off or muted.
yeah. Um,
Um,
there
he didn't
was
have
a
the shield anymore.
yeah. He didn't have the shield anymore. Like you saw the scales. That's another thing I actually like from
Hmm.
that. Before Endgame, like the scales of his suit was there, and I actually liked that design.
Hmm.
Yeah. They had like a design that I like that looked like the Nomad costume. There's a concept art that like
Hmm.
he was wearing one of the Nomad costumes, but it was like black and it was like a very like stealth suit. You know.
Hmm.
Um. Yeah. That's true. Yeah, and then when we entered the Nomad arc during the 80s, I think I don't know why he quit again, but like of course that's when U.S. agent John Walker comes around, and at that time, around, I know this because he was Captain America during the Armor Wars arc when Tony was trying to get all his technology back from the villains that they got the stolen information of the Iron Man suit.
Hmm.
And so I have a question for you, Will, specifically because you got so many replacements. Do you think that can hurt the character with so many characters taking the mantle of one character, or is it helpful? What do you think, Will? Um,
I mean, I think there is like a good way to tell like a story about passing the mantle where you,
okay,
you explore like the legacy of that character. And I think we just saw that with Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I think like
yeah,
the best part of that show is how they handled the legacy of Steve and how Sam, or how like people had to live up to that, and it like why Sam was the perfect person to do that and why John Walker wasn't.
yeah,
um, but I think you only really need to do that like once and you don't need a bunch of people taking up the mantle, like especially like I said before about Bucky and Sam being the
yeah,
only ones where it like works. They have, they're like their own character, so there's implications to
right,
like their psyche and like the reader's understanding of them and their relationship to Steve when they take up the shield. But if you just have a character like John Walker or Jeffrey Mace who exists only to like become the next Captain America, then all you're doing ever like whenever you're reading that is you're comparing them to Steve Rogers, and they're not going to live up to that.
yeah,
Which I get like it's interesting, but it's not as interesting as taking a character that you were already familiar with and then forcing them to grapple with like living up to the legacy of someone that they knew and cared about.
yeah. I agree, and yeah, and it's interesting that the Falcon and the Winter Soldier did that so well
Hmm.
because in the comics, those two came later to become Captain America, where like
Right.
Walker and the other individual were like the first two to do that, and it's like it's really interesting, and yeah, and of course Isaiah Riley is another character that took the
Yeah.
mountain, and he's very interesting, and
Yeah. I like him. Um,
yeah, um, and his book, The Truth, Red,
uh,
White, and Blue, is very
Red, White, and
interesting.
Black. Yeah.
Thank you, for correcting me that. Another great book. I read it last week. It was really great and powerful. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. I guess let's kind of move on and talk about Peggy Carter. She's another
Okay.
one that's like she's like the main player. Like she's like the Lois Lane, love instrument for Captain America, and
Hmm.
I, um, I, enjoy. I think people like more Peggy in the MCU than the comics. I feel like
I'm not familiar with her in the comics at all.
yeah, I don't. Same here. It's, I mean, like, um, it's kind of interesting in the comics. You get Sharon.
Right.
That I mean, even that it's so convoluted. Like sometimes she's the niece or the sister, and like I I don't know, I feel like the MCU did a better job of handling Peggy than the comics. Um, and what do you think about Peggy overall, the character? I mean, both comics or live action. I mean,
Yeah, but like, I can't really speak to the comics, but
yeah,
I think live action, it's like a really fun character. Just like a really strong like female character, um, which is it's fun to see. I
yeah,
think Haley Atwell does a really good job of like
yes,
bringing life to the character and making her very like charismatic and charming. Um,
yeah.
yeah, did you watch the TV show when it was on?
I I tried to get into it, and I
Hmm.
liked it in the first season,
Yep.
and then I
Yeah.
kind of drop off. Unfortunately, I,
Yeah. I
I
mean, I only liked the first season.
yeah,
Um,
I need to rewatch that series because I did like it. I mean, and to be fair, it's like it's kind of canonical now because we have the human Jarvis in Endgame, and so I
Hmm.
um I first season is great because I really love Peggy there and Howard Stark, and you can
Hmm.
see how Captain America affected them as people, and the information we got in in the previous films, um,
Hmm.
especially Howard, like how Howard like look up to Captain America and how that affected Tony, you know,
Right.
later on when you hear information like, oh, my dad doesn't stop talking about him and like stuff like that, and then when every time he has an argument with Captain America, like my favorite line from the first Avengers film is he's like, look, uh, you the hero, look, Rogers, um, what was it like? You came, you're like a stranger, experimental rat, Rogers. All the reason you're so special, you came out of a bottle, and I love that line. Um,
Yeah.
from him, like you were made by smart people, and like you're the reason you became Captain America because of Tony's father, but also the the techno and scientific people of the
Hmm.
world, because Tony doesn't have superpowers like he has, ingenuity and and the brains, right?
Right.
Um, yeah. I, I I like how Peggy, how Peggy also let go of Captain America, like how he dropped the last blood to the river, and I think in the Brooklyn Bridge towards the series finale, and like it was kind
Hmm.
of sad because well, it was kind of sad, but you realize that you know later on they're kind of able to re you know re create the super soldier formula in
Hmm.
the MCU. Um, yeah, I think one thing I like about Peggy and the MCU, before we get into other stuff with Captain America, to wrap things up, I like how the MCU makes Peggy important in the universe. I like how
Hmm.
she and Howard created Shield. I like how she's like the proper feminist in the MCU, and I feel like
Yeah.
same thing with Monica's mom, um, uh,
Maria.
Maria. I like how we have like female people creating these high level organizations,
Yeah.
and I feel like and also reminding you how important a love interest is to a character. I
Hmm.
feel like the MCU doesn't do that uh, as well compared to like Pepper or Peggy. I feel like those two are the ones they put more effort to remind you how important they are
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Um,
I think she's definitely one of the like more developed female characters and like more developed love interests. And I like that they didn't just like relegate her to being Steve's love interest. They had her go on to like do her own things.
yes,
Um,
I agree,
it's great. Yeah.
and I love she's like the first like major female character to have her own show before
Hmm.
Jessica Jones and Supergirl, and really she's like the first one that got her own show before
Yeah.
WandaVision, or or really a focus like Captain Marvel and Black Widow. So,
Hmm.
um, and I guess after that, I think we can talk about like the other characters that interact Captain America. Like, um, I guess we go into Tony because he's like the major one.
Hmm.
Like you brought up like Civil War and like in the comics and the film. What do you think? What do you think about the relationship between those two? I it's very fascinating,
Yeah.
in both in the comics and the movies.
Hmm. Yeah. I really like when they like butt heads just because they're such big like personalities with strong opinions.
Yes,
Um, and to see them like come to conflict is always really interesting. Brings up
yeah,
like interesting conversations.
yes, I agree. I think I prefer the relationship in the MCU because it's not contrived or like or like it's cheating in the writing like in the
Hmm.
comics like in Civil War, because I like the way how the movie Civil War did it, in my opinion, because it was already built up from the first Avengers.
Right. Yeah, it didn't feel like, well, we want them to fight for some reason. It
Yeah.
felt like a natural progression of their character arcs. So,
Hmm. And of course, I like how both men are conflicted about the situation, and and uh, and what happened to them in the in Age of Ultron, especially with Tony, with his art, um, from Iron Man, from Iron Man 3 and onwards,
yeah.
Um, yeah, that relationship is very good. It reminds me of, like, the reason I mentioned Batman now is like because it like those two, like, almost like they're like it's Marvel's version of Batman and Superman, and like
Right.
and they're not similar, but like they're very different, but like they're represent uh in that capacity, but in different ways. Like, of course,
Yeah.
Iron Man's more.
They're pretty similar.
I mean, yeah, but like I mean, I guess like with Batman, it's always like psychology, and then and it's interesting with Batman because we never talk about corporation or capitalism with Batman. Not a
Right.
lot.
But like both of their superpowers are
Yeah,
that
exactly.
they're rich and smart.
Switch is smart. Yes, I agree. But
And
I don't know.
then Captain America and Superman are like
Um,
embodiments of the American ideal with super strength.
exactly. Well, I, I agree that I don't know. I think I agree more with Batman and Iron Man with that because and it's interesting how they handle their wealth sometimes. Um, I guess, like, leading to this question, Will, like, you think Captain America is a consistent character in terms of writing? Because I don't see that with Superman because a lot of the writers and both live action and comic books, they have a struggle to write Superman because he's not like he is like you can compare it to Captain America and Superman, but I I feel like the the American the Americanization of Superman and him being propaganda is not always, I think, the ideal thing for a lot of people to think of Superman. Is always something
Yeah.
else. When we think about Captain America, you think him being just the symbol of the flag is like something that helps the character of Captain America be more consistent as in both medias. Like,
I I think it depends on the writer and what they want to do with that symbol. Because like
okay,
sometimes they want it to just be like, ah, these are the values that America should have. But then other times you
right,
get stuff like Ultimate Marvel where they're like, ah, this is what America actually is, and then Captain America is like
yes,
racist and edgy and
I know,
just a jerk. Like it it depends on like how they want to use the symbol of the American flag. As if it's like reflecting like the darker realities and like the
hmm
nuance of the country, or if they want it to be that like idealized like vision of what America could or should be.
yeah, yeah, that's true. And then also, it's always I guess another thing that makes Captain America easier is that he doesn't have a secret identity. That's also a problem with Clark because the writers sometimes want to have like Superman and Clark Kent to be different people. Like, they're trying to do the psychology of Batman. Like, Batman is the real Bruce Wayne, and then Bruce Wayne is the disguise when he's like.
Right.
And I feel like that's never a problem with Captain America because he's always Steve Rogers. He's always Steve Rogers, and it's just the
Right.
Captain America is just the name of this of this role he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
No, I agree. Yeah, I guess we haven't mentioned the Ultimus because that version I read Ultimus too, it, and I I don't know, like, I agree, he's so like bad, like he's so dark and grim, and
Yeah.
it's very fascist in those books. I agree.
Yeah. And, like I get where that's coming from,
Yes, I agree. I agree.
but I don't think that's like the most interesting thing to do with their character.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I agree. Because like they get rid of certain things that I like about Captain America, like Bucky is a Winter Soldier in that universe, and
Mhm.
um and they don't use Peggy there. I know that's Glale. That's like his version of Peggy in that universe. You know, his like 1940s girlfriend before he goes into ice, and like she ends up marry Bucky. In that universe. Um, yeah. I I guess is there other versions we should talk about with Captain America besides the Ultimates? I mean besides that, I guess. Uh, okay, you mentioned other characters like Shield. I think it should be for me. Let's discuss Captain America and his relations with Shield, like especially Nick Fury and Black Widow, and what what do you think about his relations with Shield when like when he always works with them in the comics and in the movies as well? Will.
um, I think they're a good stand-in for like the government when you want
Mm-hmm.
Captain America to like rebel against the system for betraying like idealized values. Um, I don't know, yeah, like I said before, like he's more interesting when he's like fighting against someone who's on his side.
Right.
Um,
I agree.
yeah, and I think they're a good stand-in for like the organizational version of like fighting against a teammate. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I agree. Um. Also, yeah, I agree, and it's interesting. How um, like the second film, Captain America: The Winter Soldier handles that, and how Nick and Shield was trying to do with the whole oversight project, and and Nick not realizing that Hydra is using him to do
Mhm.
this, whole operation, and like um and it was kind of sad to see Shield gone away because like it was the thing that represented Captain America, because that was the thing I like about that way of how the name Shield came up.
Mhm.
Uh, and I guess the other thing I did like about is like him interacting with Black Widow, and how him working with like a Soviet a defect Soviet agent, and like how he doesn't judge that person. Like that's another thing I like about Captain America. He doesn't judge people from
Mhm.
their race or the country they come from. I like how he's very open minded.
Yes. Uh, yeah. Again, that like American ideal that we're like a melting pot and everyone's welcome.
Exactly,
And
and
I like that he embodies the like the positive vision of America and not like the negative realities of the country. Um, he's something to like strive for instead of a reflection of what the country actually is.
yeah, and I like he's not like um, what was the word? He's not naive. He knows who's the enemy and not.
Right. Yeah.
And that's another thing that's great about him. It's like yes, he doesn't judge you or like, but you like he will trust you when you earn it, and I like about that
Hmm.
because I like how he in the Winter Soldier film I like how he trusted you know um, Wilson right away, and like he was the
Hmm.
only person he could go to after the whole Hydra reveal, and like
Yeah.
and he was the only one that he could trust. And I guess it'll be a good way to enter. Um, and I guess to wrap things up, let's kind of discuss his live action stuff. Have you seen his like '90s movie, like the
I,
before the MCU? Like,
I have not.
okay, okay, that's good. I was kind of curious if you've
I've
seen.
seen like clips from it.
Oh my god,
Um, yeah, it looked uh,
it's
not great. It's
oh
from the
my god,
70s, right?
yeah, oh my god. He there's one in the '70s, but there's
Oh,
also
oh, I
another.
see. There's a movie in the 90s, and there were like TV movies in the 70s.
Exactly. Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Yeah, it's so weird. The '90s one is from the one guy from Cannon's film studio that did the He-Man Masters of the Universe live action film with Duff
Okay.
Logan, and they're the
Hmm.
ones they did the Superman 4 Quest for Peace. Oh my god. Ugh, oh my god. Yeah, it's bad. The Risco's in that version. It's very interesting, but it's so bad. Oh, the hard times for Marvel. Um, I guess cartoons. Like we mentioned the '90s version. I mentioned. Have you
Hmm.
seen the Earth Mightiest Heroes?
Yeah, no, I loved that show when I was in high school.
Oh
Watched it
my
a lot.
god, me too, me too. What do you think about that version of Captain America?
Yeah,
Um,
I think he's pretty similar to like the MCU version, I'd say.
okay, okay,
Um, like a little different.
yeah,
It's been a while since I've seen the show now, so I'm trying to remember.
yeah. It's in Disney Plus, right?
Yeah, it is.
All right. I
Um,
I need to watch other stuff in Disney Plus. I
they
tried
got a
to.
lot of stuff. Like you'd think it's like, oh, it's just Disney stuff. It's not going to be that much. But there's like way more stuff from your childhood that you than you
I
remember.
I know because I'm compelled to watch Kim Possible because that was one of my favorite
Okay.
shows, and I mean to watch it, but it's like I have to put myself in that mindset. Like I need to commit to that.
Yeah.
Oh, and the same thing with Marvel because they have the Iron Man show.
Yeah.
I
So
own the
much.
oh god yeah so much.
Yeah.
Um
They don't have a lot of the Spider-Man series. Um,
no that's
but
the weird. They have
yeah,
the
they must have been produced by like Sony or something.
yeah well it's the '90s one was made for Fox, and so that's why they have
Okay.
it in Disney Plus. Where Spectacular is
Right.
made for Sony, so they cannot get that.
Okay. Yeah.
Um,
So,
yeah, I mean that's just Spider-Man has weird bite seizures. Just Marvels and their bite seizures is weird. Um, okay, and I guess we can get into. I mean, because like after Avengers, like Earth Mightiest Heroes, we just get like the plain just generic Avengers assemble, and like that's more in the MCU, and this is
mhm.
um, and I and video games. I know there's one for like. Have you had a chance to play that new Avengers game that came out last year?
No, I haven't because I wanted to wait until I got a PS5, and then PS5s are impossible to get,
Oh my
so I
god,
haven't played it yet.
oh my god, oh my god, PlayStation 5. Oh dear. Okay, I have PlayStation 4, so that's
Yeah,
good.
me too. Yeah, I do too. But
Oh my god, yeah.
oh,
Ugh, god, yeah. I guess we can get into the MCU because I guess that's like the most popular. That's like the well-known thing for people with Captain America, and that's why I say like I Captain America is the Superman that people need now, but they
mhm.
don't. Like I think because like it's crazy that Chris Evans um version of Captain America is like the most Superman than the one they we have currently, and like that
Yeah,
frustrates me the
yeah,
most.
me too. Especially since like Henry Cavill would do such a good job if they just gave him a script where Superman acted like Superman.
I know, and it's crazy, and like, and I can't believe it. Like, um, so far the Captain America franchise is the best thing about the MCU. Like,
Yeah, it's the best trilogy. It's like the most consistent trilogy.
yes, and I just let's kind of get into this. What do you think about Chris Evans' portrayal of Captain America? Like,
I mean, I Chris Evans was my favorite actor before he was Captain America.
oh my God,
Like
yes, I know. I
man, I loved him.
oh my God,
He just seems like such a good man. Um, and he's always in a bunch of like really fun movies. I think Captain America was the perfect role for it. Like that, Marvel's casting directors do such a good job. I think that's the true secret for the MCU's success is they know who to cast in what role.
yes.
And Chris Evans is just another. example of one where they knocked it out of the park.
Yes, I agree. Um, yeah, I when the Phase One films were coming around, like of course Robert Downey Jr. was great as Iron Man. He was, he was perfect for that role. When Chris Hemsworth was announced as Thor, he, was a known actor at that time, but a lot of people knew him from Star Trek '09. He looked like the part. And when Chris Evans was like he was like circling around the rumors that he was going to be cast, and like when
Mhm.
that was official, I was like, really? He was like the Michael Keaton casting, where like, really, that guy? Because like um uh, you mentioned Ford Will. He's an amazing actor. I mean, he's
Yeah.
he's he's the best Johnny Storm. I
Well,
correct me.
of the two that
We
we've seen.
have, yes.
Yeah, I haven't seen the 2015 movie, so I can't comment on Michael B. Jordan's performance. Uh,
um,
but
he,
I know the movie is bad.
I know. I seen bits of it. He is the best part because his storyline is the most interesting.
Yeah, I mean
But
he's an incredible actor, so
yeah,
it makes sense that he'd be good in it.
yeah.
Yeah,
I don't have a problem with him as black. That was the
or
whole
yeah,
big,
yeah, yeah.
concept concept of the thing.
Apparently they like they cast him first, and then they
Uh-huh.
wanted to cast a black woman as Sue Storm,
Yes,
and the the studio was like, one's enough, which is insane.
I
So they
know.
like forced them to make Sue Storm white.
And
Ah man.
well, and see, I had that problem, but like my problem was the movie. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't have a problem if you address that. Like there is like adoption. There's like you have to have
No, yeah. I mean,
I feel like the movie.
I'm fine. Like, yeah, I don't have a problem
I
with her being adopted in the movie. Like that's honestly that's great. That's like
Yeah,
representation for
yeah,
adoption in a big
in a
movie.
movie.
It's
Yeah,
just like it's weird that the studio like is like, no, we can only have one black lead in this movie.
I I
That's
know.
ridiculous.
I know. But it just shows how they were just like, especially that movie. It like, it was just because they just wanted to keep the rights and they were not thinking through
Yeah, no,
that
it was
film.
rushed and
Yeah,
no one actually cared about making a good interpretation of the characters. Yeah.
yeah, of FF, Fantastic Four. Yeah. Okay, let's get back to Catbird.
Okay, yeah.
Sorry, folks. Just want to mention he was great, Johnny Storm. I mean, Chris Evans was great as Scott Pilgrim. That's another thing. That
Or
was
as the
the X.
what was his name? Yeah, it
I
was the second Evil X.
yeah.
It's the
Uh,
action hero guy.
this
Wait, the stunt
is.
doubles. What was his name?
I think I'm looking at him now. I know. Yeah, and he's he's like the longest actor that appeared the most comics after Ryan Reynolds, apparently.
Really?
Because yes, because he's circling around for the new Spider-Man film. He's gonna voice a Spider-Man character, and Lucas
Okay.
Lee, that's the character's name in Scott Pilgrim. Well,
Right. Yeah.
he's great. That guy. I love the one scene he said like, "Oh, I'm pressing so I can get an Oscar." Like I don't know, you remember that scene? It's so funny.
Yeah.
Oh, he's a funny actor, Chris Evans.
Yeah. I think. But I mean, like in the beginning of his career, he did a ton of like those like
Like,
teen comedies.
yes.
Um, and he was always the best part of those.
Oh my God,
Um,
yes. Um, and him and Michael Chiklis is the best thing about the first Tim Story, Fantastic Four film. So,
yeah.
uh, yeah, and that film is weird. Like that film has Brie Larson, Audrey Plaza, Brandon Ralph,
Oh
and
wow.
Mary Elizabeth Weston. That's gonna all of them gonna appear in all the Supreme films. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
I mean, I like those uh Fantastic Four movies from the 2000s. They're cheesy, but they're fun.
I agree. I seen those in theaters, and I mean, I they almost got it. It was just it it didn't have the Sam Raimi or the first two X-Men films, tone where it was, campy, but like it was also serious. It didn't
Mhm.
have the balance
Right.
that those films have, or even the MCU has right now.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, getting back to Chris Evans' Captain America, folks.
A
I
lot of tangents.
a
Yeah.
second, a second actress, but it's a perfect example of the casting. Well, you mentioned when you hear all those movies were mentioned, the Fantastic Four films, the Scott programs, the teen dramas, or
Hmm.
teen comedies. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, it. I never expected Chris Evans to be Captain America. I never saw that. And then when
Yeah.
we slowly got the images of Captain America, I was like, okay, I can see that. And when I saw the first film, I was like, oh my god, no, he is Captain America, and I love that.
Hmm.
I want to do this. Like, I think Chris Evans' best performances and the handle of the character in these movies are First Avenger, his trilogy, First Avenger, Winter Soldier, and Civil War,
Hmm.
um, Infinity War, and Endgame. That's it. Because those are the movies that I think that's where Captain America, Chris Evans is the best,
Hmm.
and that's where the directors, particularly Joe Johnston and the Russo brothers, um, um, handle of the character are the best. And
Yeah.
and honestly, and another thing I like about the Captain America films is there's one, two writers that have been the same compared to other franchises. Because
Right.
and I feel like uh, that makes his character being like it stood out the most as the best character for me.
Hmm.
Um, I I don't want to talk about too much about the Avengers or Age of Ultron. I like Chris Evans there, but I don't like the way Joss Whedon handles him there. I like, especially the first Avengers film. I feel like he just makes a joke out of Captain America, and I don't like that.
Hmm.
Despite me liking his costume there, I don't like how his helmet looks. It's just it, that films don't show you the potential of Captain America, who he is, compared to his solo films, or really when he's handled by the Russo brothers, really.
Yeah.
So, what do you think, Will?
No, I agree. Joss Whedon seems to make a joke out of Cap, and he just like makes fun of Cap for being old-fashioned and like a fish out of water. Um,
Yeah. Oh my god.
which I don't like. There's so much more to the character, but to like just have that feels very like surface level and disappointing.
Yeah. Ugh. I agree as well, and um, yeah, and I did like Age of Ultron, right? Like, like it's hard for me to say retcon because, like, because we saw a Hydra agent in Ant-Man, but like I didn't like how he wrapped things up with the Hydra um story point that would like came after Winter Soldier, and also he got rid of was it Strucker, who was another Captain America villain,
Yep.
and he was like useless. I was like, um, yeah, well, I guess um, I wanted to discuss like the handle of Captain America's villains in the MCU. What do you think? Because I think his supporting characters in the MCU has been strong.
Hmm.
With one exception like Sharon Carter and um, you know the Hiring Commandos and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, I want to go back to the villains. What do you think about the villains being handled with the MCU? Uh,
I have. I mean, we've talked about Zemo a lot in our discussions about Falcon and the Winter Soldier, so
yes,
I'll leave Zemo
uh,
out of it.
yeah.
But
Let's do that.
but I really enjoyed Red Skull, um, and so I was disappointed that they like killed him off in First Avenger. I mean, like he came back for Infinity War and Endgame, but not really. I don't know. Like
I
I thought he was cool, and then he
um
was gone, and then when he came back, he like was basically a different character.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. I I guess like the problem was like I don't know, this. It's just well, I guess everyone knows this, and you know this. Is Hugo Weaving just didn't like the
Yeah,
role.
he didn't like playing him. I know.
And I, I, I mean, okay, whatever. I mean, you play Megatron and Transformers, all those three Michael Bay films, and I don't get. It was so weird. Yeah, yeah, and that was the problem. Like in Phase Two, where they didn't bring back the villains, and so
Hmm.
Red Skull was in that list, and like he was in one film, and then that's it, and then he didn't
Right,
come back, until Phase Three, right?
right.
And
And like it's weird because like the appeal of the MCU is that the characters stay around, but they for some reason for the first like 8 years of it, they didn't do that for the villains.
no,
Like,
I just, yeah, I didn't understand it. Well, they, I feel like, I feel like the Catman villains escaped that. It was just, I feel like they didn't know where to place those villains in those properties. Like for a while, like I didn't know if Zemo was coming back, and of course, the Winter, Falcon and Winter Soldier was announced. I was happy he was coming back.
mhm.
You know, um, and same thing with Westworld. I didn't know if he was coming back, and I was disappointed with that as well. Hydra, I didn't know. I think that was the one thing I like about the twist of Hydra is that they became a bigger threat.
Yeah,
I
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like they're the most. I feel like the Captain America villains. For me, I think what makes them better overall with the other MCU villains is they affected the MCU more in 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 moving forward and plot points compared to the other villains. Like the
Hmm.
Thor villains didn't
Yeah.
affect at all with the MCU besides Loki. Really, like
Mm.
Loki was the only one that affected the moving the MCU forward.
Right.
Especially with the first Avengers, and I feel like Captain America's villains were more successful at doing that. I feel like than the other villains. And they still came back. Like Hydra did came back after Age of Ultron, and like we still reference them. And like it's kind of like the Joker, like exhalation. I feel like the Captain America villains did exhalate the MCU um,
Hmm.
that way than other villains. You know, so that's my opinion. Um,
Yeah.
and
Hydra and Loki and Thanos are the only ones that feel like they've made a lasting
yeah,
impact.
exactly. Um, yeah, and that's why I'm curious if Maya Hydra is it's like a hint of Hydra coming back as well.
Yeah, it
I
could be.
I I don't know. Um, I'm excited. Like I don't know what's gonna happen next.
Hmm.
So so okay. You want to say anything else besides the villains? Well, um, I guess you want to talk about Sharon. That's another character that I feel like, in terms of the supporting characters, I feel like it's kind of weak. Um,
Yeah, if we're talking MCU,
yeah,
I
yeah,
can't talk
yeah,
about her in the comics, but yeah,
yeah, yeah,
she was. We talked about this a little bit in the Winter Soldier or the Falcon and the Winter Soldier discussions that we've had, but
yeah.
she was so weak in the movies, and then in the show they did something with her that just feels so out of character from like the
Yes,
little character development that she did have. So,
yeah.
oh man, I don't know. It was not.
It it was weird. I
Yeah.
feel like as I mentioned in that show, I mentioned with the Marvel Plus talk, I feel like they rewrote some of Carter's storyline in the show. I feel
Yeah.
like, and the pirate broker thing. Um, yeah, she's another one that I feel like I think Marvel, in terms of adapting Captain America's foreign characters, they failed the most in that character. I feel like,
Yes. Yeah, I agree.
yeah. Um, and but overall, I think I've been most satisfying I've been most satisfied with the Captain America franchise compared to the other franchise in MCU. I feel
Yeah,
like,
I agree. It's been the most consistent, I think.
yeah. But the most well written as well. I feel like,
Yes.
and I feel like they balance everything right in this series. Compared to other franchise. Superman. Anyway, I yeah, I guess that's it. Well, you have any else you want to discuss about Captain America? Um, I, I,
I can think of anything. I mean, we touched on a lot of things that I feel about Captain America. So
okay. I guess to wrap up the things, let's. Do you have any recommendation for storylines? I guess that could be a good way to end this podcast. What is your favorite story from Captain America, and why you want to recommend it for the folks out there?
yeah, I mean, I guess like the original ones from the 40s are fun. Just there's like a bit of history about
Oh,
like the U.S. and like our involvement in the war.
okay.
Yeah, I really like older comics. So
No,
um,
no, I'm with you. Well,
yeah,
I love comments. I actually I prefer the '70s Batman books over the 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 Frank Miller and the
Mhm.
the new ones coming out right now. No, no, I'm with you. I love the old comics. No, no, I like your recommendation. That's cool. Um, I guess for me, I guess I can recommend the Captain America and Falcon series that was in the '70s.
Okay.
Um, if you like the Falcon as a character and where like if you like that character so much, if you want to see him partner with Captain America, that's the series you should check out, folks. I feel like that series does a lot. I mean, that series did set up, the Nomad arc, and that's in general Captain America in his time in the '70s.
Mm.
So I feel like that series is very important, and it's cool to see like, it's I don't think a lot of people talk about this. Like it's a rare to see like a black character, being a partner, being a general partner to a superhero that is white, and I feel like it's interesting to see like that actually was a series in the comic books.
Mhm.
So I recommend reading that series. So that's my recommendation. Um, well, thank you, Will. Thank you for coming to discuss Captain America. Uh, for
Yeah,
his 80th anniversary.
yeah. Happy to be here. It's always nice talking to you. So,
Yeah, I'd be enjoying this. I'm happy. I always happy to talk to you. Will, you're a very insightful person,
thank you.
and
It's always a good discussion with you. So,
yeah. And I guess for next in May, do you want to go back and do a movie discussion?
yeah, we can do that.
And this year is three Marvel movies that have their 10th anniversary. Thor, First Avenger, and X-Men First Class. Um,
Okay.
do you want to do Thor? Uh,
Yeah, we can do Thor.
okay,
I like that one.
yeah.
Yeah.
I liked it too. I'm curious about your thoughts about that film.
Yeah, I think it's imperfect, but I think it's underrated. We'll talk about it later. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Okay, folks. I think that will be our next discussion. The first Thor film. Me will be back next week, folks. Not this Sunday. Next week. Next Sunday. Or whatever our schedules line up, folks. So thank you, Will, for coming.
thank you
And
for having
thank you. Oh my God, I'm so speechless now for some reason.
me.
Oh my God, my head is turnarounds. But anyway, thank you folks for coming. I hope you guys enjoyed this anniversary talk on Captain America. Me, we'll be back to discuss the first Thor film, first directed by Kenneth Branagh in 2011. Of course, that stars Chris Hemsworth, Natalie Portman, and of course our favorite character Loki, played by Tom Wilson. Have a nice weekend, folks.